Yes, legends, hope you're doing absolutely wonderful today. Make sure to smash up that like button on your way in if you do enjoy the content, and let's take a look at the price of Bitcoin all together. Much love to everyone. Let's go. Can you hear me? Can you see me? Let's say hello to the beautiful community here and see what is going on with the price of Bitcoin, because we are ranging basically. We don't have incredible swing trading opportunities in this zone, in my opinion. There's some possible good entries for scalps. Okay, it's a little bit of a scalping zone. We did talk about a scalp short scenario in today's stream. There are some long interest zones, but we would have to dip beneath the lows of the range. It will be explained in today's stream. So if you do like that, smash up the like button. Let's say hello to the wonderful community here and see what's going on with the price of Bitcoin. Okay, very boring range. It is quite boring. We are tackling on the higher time frame that 70k region, which is the value area high. Is it bullish? Will it end up breaking? We got the fractals, of course. You know, will they end up coming to fruition? We're trying back testing this value area high of the range of the last 5 weeks. So technically, it looks more bearish than bullish, but locally, it's where we got a little bit of the confusion, giving the bulls a potential chance here of actually, you know, getting a move to the upside. We're going to give the bulls a chance, guys. And can we get into any longs? I do think so. They're going to be given in today's stream. Let's see if we do get that movement to the downside to some very strong support levels. We might get into a long position. I might get into a long position because this is me basically sharing my analysis. I'm just a random dude on YouTube, right? This content is for educational purposes only and is not financial advice. The information provided is not guaranteed to be accurate or complete. Always conduct your own research before making any financial decision, guys. Said that, let's go through comment section. And we'll dive in through the 4 hourly, 1 hourly time frame, most importantly, the 15-minute and the 5-minute time frame to discuss what is going on here. What is going on here? A little bit rangy. Is it corrective, or are we starting an impulse to the downside? I have to say, it's looking okay for the bulls. They do have actually a little bit of a chance here, as this could be a corrective range that could extend, of course, still for several hours. We'll break down the different scenarios that could develop, right? And where are the hidden, nice scalping entry opportunities. Let's go through comment section. I can see Beth Maria Vallejos. Much love to you. Thank you very much for joining today's stream. Much appreciated. Love from India, 20 Yesh. Much love to you. Thumbnail looks like the 90s movie star. A 90s movie star. Good one, Andy. Much love, Jerome here. Thanks for joining. Oil stocks are doing great. Gold isn't really moving. Iran stick leader is saying is going to keep the Strait of Hormuz closed. That's an issue. That is definitely an issue. Let's see how that will work out for him exactly. Looks like BTC is in a triangle. We can discuss some triangle formations, bullish and bearish. Okay. Yep. Cool 90s movie star thumbnail. Thank you very much for that. Yeah. Kind of, what is it? Stranger Things, right? Kind of, you know, get that purple in the background and a bit of red. All right. Much love to everybody. Liberty, Jerome, Path Maria Vallejos, A Trader. Much love to you. Get ready, guys. We're going to get some stuff ready, even though it's boring, right? It's like major breakout to the upside or major dump down. It's actually a little bit boring, but you know, we have some things, we have some levels. Simon Jones, much love to you, my man. Thanks for joining the stream. Meme Cat, please, Andy, no bad news of it going higher. Yes. Rudy, the man himself, also in the side of the trading community, providing some great analysis and charts and some of his trading setups that he's joining. Good afternoon, chartist. Much love, Rudy. Path Maria. Steve here. Thanks so much, Andy, for your dedication to the community. You are very welcome. Talking about the community, you know, it's you know, I'm in a short from higher, basically from the anchored VWAP. Today, you know, it's a scalp entry short position. We literally got rejected from the previous day point of control, right? When we do get the session volume profile, we had massive bearish CVD divergence. Look at those higher highs on the CVD. People are longing crazily here. And the price is really in a range. It's not, you're not making a strong effort to break that value area high of this entire range that we've had in the last 5 to 6 weeks now. So there's people longing here throughout the last couple of days. They're really trying to break this value area high, and they're very much struggling, as we just can see on the price action throughout this little mini range that we formed in the last 48 hours. Now, saying that, what we can see is that we basically got rejected today. We had massive bearish CVD divergence. Look at those lower highs on the price action and higher highs on the CVD, Bybit, US dollar, Tether, perpetual. We do have also other exchanges, higher highs, lower highs on the CVD. And we are coming into some, pretty interesting resistance. It's literally the previous day point of control right over here. We actually created that failed breakout, failed attempt, a little wick to the upside, which was very much valid for a short attempt. Inside of the trading community, of course, we give that guidance. Hey, this is actually a level where the price could reject that box over here, where we do have the previous day value area high and the previous day point of control. A short attempt here with stop above the reaction, previous day point of control, is a valid short entry, of course. Okay, I know some people very likely in that position. This was just posted a few hours ago before going on stream here inside of the trading community. We give that guidance, we give the possibilities. Of course, this is treated as a scalp. This is not a short that I'm saying, we're going to go down to 60k. It definitely can. There is a multiple 1-2 situation here that could come to fruition if we do break down with high volume, but it's an entry. Right, you move down $1,000. It's a scalp. It's a trade for the day. Okay, and of course, in that trade, that was very much acceptable to take today into resistance with those bearish CVD divergence that was provided inside of the trading community just a few hours ago. Of course, in that short trade, not the best entry. I actually entered a little late, not exactly catching the rejection of the point of control. Scratch some profits already, leaving a runner here to see what happens from this short trade. Okay, I think we're going to range. I think there's a possibility of going, take those highs. We are going to be discussing a little bit, what is going on in this zone. Okay, and for those that are interested, the analysis, if we're not on YouTube, we are very much inside of the trading community. Myself and Devil, also my Devil. Inside of the trading community, if you are interested, super easy to access, guys. Just send me a DM here in the Telegram. Okay, super simple to join. You just need to sign up throughout one of the affiliates. You can join the trading community, which we do look for intraday scalp entry setups. All right, and giving a little bit of guidance, of course, for those people that are a little bit lost inside of the trading industry, basically. So let's dive in right away. This is only a scalp, of course, okay? Only a scalp. You need to scratch some profits as you get that movement down. This is very rangy. We could form a triangle. It could still be bullish. We could still actually form a corrective range here and ending up breaking here to the upside. It's possible. It is definitely possible. And we need to discuss, where I would be looking for a long position. If we were to bounce from this area right now, and take out the highs, it's a difficult long for me. It is a difficult long to enter. I don't feel comfortable by putting a stop loss, right? Beneath the lows, I'm kind of asking to be liquidity here, right? To sweep up the lows. It's a difficult short for me, right? I would rather short at a reactionary level where there is confluence, such as the previous day point of control, right? You have a couple of minutes to enter this. This is on the lower time frame. To look for that short entry. You're making a 2-3 to 1 risk reward, right? We slice some profits, you protect your position or leave stop loss at the high. Okay, well, at this point, if we were going to rally all the way up here, I think that local highs would be taken, so protecting position does make sense here. Could it be a runner to the downside? That's why we leave part of that position open for that potential of going lower, right? This is what we try to do as traders. Try and catch the big moves, of course, which is a little bit of a difficult range. Okay, this is a little bit difficult range. It could extend all the WXY, Elliot wave nonsense that a lot of people don't like. I'm going to try and keep it simple today, guys, because today the short entry, yes, there was a little bit of Elliott wave theory behind it based on the bearish case 1 2 1 2. Even this for a wave 1, yeah, I have my doubts. I have my doubts for a 3 wave or a 5 wave. I mean, this wave 4 and 5 is a little bit too small. It does look a little bit 3 wavy. So, you know, but regardless, this is hitting resistance. It did hit resistance. I cannot enter along here in this zone, guys. I'm sorry, right? You know, wish I could get into a quick trade now on the stream and say, yeah, you know, it might bounce, but I just don't have a proper plan here, proper stop loss, and the range could continue. So let's just talk about where am I waiting for that potential long position, right? That's what we're here. We're here for that, right? Show me where you want a long. Where is the high probability long entry? And let's jump in, right, into the long. Know our stop losses, know how the price action needs to move, and keeping it a little bit simple without much Elliott wave theory, which a lot of people are like, you know. I do get it. I do get it. Okay, I try with the Elliott wave theory and provide the different scenarios, but I know a lot of people are, you know, it's a bitter pill to swallow when we talk about Elliott wave theory, many scenarios. So let's just break it down. Let's go on the higher time frame, discuss what is going on here. Considering the liquidity, there is liquidity up and down above $72,000, right? Just slightly under as well, right? 71.6, which was the recent highs that we formed a few days ago. There's actually some pretty interesting liquidity forming here to the upside based on short positions, right? To the downside, we got many long liquidations below 65k. Lots of liquidity down or up. You know, do we end up claiming the liquidity to the upside first, or do we dump down very aggressively and claim the liquidity later on, right, to the upside? So based on liquidity, you know, there's liquidity up and down, not much of, you know, not very useful at this point where we're currently at. Considering the technical analysis, the structure, the resistance, we are in a bear market, right? We are in a bear market. I know there is significant amount of people that are calling for, you know, a pump to the upside, maybe to hit even $80,000. I see that very, very difficult, okay, with the current structure that we are forming and the range and the resistance and support levels. We're gonna just brainstorm a little bit the higher time frame here. Then we'll go through the 15 minute time frame and talk about those, you know, possible intraday reaction scalps, right, for little movements of $1,000, because people want to trade, right? I know people want to trade. I'm happy with you know, swing trades that I'm taking, and I'm mainly more swing trade heavy short, which you know, it's definitely worth holding. You know, if I had doubts about the short position, I would literally close the rest of this position. That was the rejection from the anchored VWAP. You know, this is a significant chunk for me and for anybody. But I'm going to give the bears a chance. I don't have a proper reason to close this short. If I were to see a massive impulse up, reclaiming value area high of the region, it is correcting a little bit. So I have my doubts. I have my doubts about the swing short. However, this is why as traders, we need to collect some profits, you know, and leave some open, because just because it's a very good entry, right? It's worth, you know, giving the bears a chance. There's nothing alarming here about we're going to pump to, you know, 75, 80k in the coming days. I don't see that. I don't see it on the chart. There are some little signs here of this pump that this could be a corrective structure, which is a little bit disturbing, of course, as we got this new information in the last couple of days. However, going back through the higher time frame, going back to what we know, that we are in a bear market, that this does look very corrective. Okay, it has a chance to actually extend a little bit. We are not going to go down that rabbit hole as of yet, but for the moment we do have that move up, move down, higher low, move up, higher high. We got an impulsive move to the downside. That's what I am very sure about, that this is very, very likely 90% chance an impulse. It counts much better as an impulse down. So we are struggling very much at the value area high, right? We are getting those fake outs. We are, back testing, you would arguably discuss the value area high. Could this only be forming a squeezed consolidation corrective structure bouncing in between point of control and the value area high just to pop out, or do we end up breaking down, right? That's the main question at the moment, because for me it was easier, not easy, it's never easy of course, but it was easier to take that short trade right over here on the rejection of the anchored VWAP. I was ready for double tops or even this high over here. I don't care. I know my plan here. If I get stopped out, I'm going to consider a double top to enter into the short, because I realized that this could be the end of a three-wave structure. So that was all good, right? Easier short, easier long, right? Coming into Sunday, Monday, the beginning of the week. This was explained on the stream on Friday, last Friday, where we are looking for that bounce, okay? We're looking for the price to really slow down into this 67, 66K region throughout the weekend and get that bounce throughout Monday and Tuesday, right? That was very, very likely to happen based on the movement to the downside. This is the situation, what we have right now. This range that we are forming, the pump can be countered as an impulse, unfortunately, for the people that are bearish or have a very good short from like myself from here. But it could also be countered corrective. There's also very much a lot of confusion in this zone, okay? A lot of confusion in this zone based on, I'm not that confident of being too bearish here on how the price is developing. Multiple 1-2 here would be the name of the game, right? Where you just boom, lower high, boom, lower high, boom, lower high, maybe another 1-2, and then break down, right? This would be ideal, right, for the bearish case. Break down in that wave 3 already and start getting that bearish momentum throughout the next coming days. But as is discussed, we are going to jump into the 5-minute time frame, and this is a tricky consolidation. It is very much tricky. So, however, we did, manage to jump into the short. I did manage to jump into that short reaction. It's just an intraday short, okay? Intraday scalp. No big moves, no major targets. Always nice to leave a little bit open just in case the price decides to break down the lows, right? And then you're like running that nice rest of the short position, right? For more potential profits, which, I have to say, this is really a bit of a scalping zone, right? Of a range. So we can't really, this is really to get into longs and shorts and take profits at the highs or at the lows, depending if you're short or if you're long. So let's break down. There's a lot, we are at this resistance value area high. We've talked about the fractals. It seems like we need to break this. I have that gut feeling that it's going to end up being bullish. I have been bearish for the last couple of weeks, really looking for that swing short, as you do know already. Managed to get an epic entry here at the 73K zone. And, as the price develops, I don't feel comfortable about the bearish case. It doesn't look that great, okay? There is very good potential still for it, but it's not looking great based on the information of the last few days. You've got the move up. You're moving now in a very triangle-y, bullish pennant corrective structure that naturally could bring you that breakout to get to, 74K plus. And, obviously the best long would have been taken throughout Sunday and Monday, right? As we were coming down into this 66K region. That's a good long to hold. I did take most of the profits from that long. It was a bad entry that was explained on Friday. I didn't go too heavy. And, most of that long position, which was a very, very bad entry, which small position was, most of the profits were taken. Throughout the this zone, we're getting a little bit of a pump right now, fast pump, Very, very choppy movement down here. Very wicky, very overlappy. I'll break down a little bit what I'm interested in here, okay? The levels that I'm interested, okay? Bear with me, guys, but I want to just explain a little bit of the higher time frame in the next coming minutes. I will go breaking down the lower time frame here, of course, to discuss, you know, a little bit of my interest of levels. What is interesting, it would be nice to sweep up these lows, because that's where we have a lot of support, and that would be interesting to consider long positions. But we have a sideways corrective structure as well, a triangle formation, which ends up like in a bullish pennant that could end up breaking to the upside, of course. So very difficult longs here. This is for me, it's a very difficult entry for a long position. Price is pumping here right now, getting that reaction here from this little mini range. We might have a small little high volume node from there, from that little consolidation. Yeah, we can see in the shadow here of the volume profile. Yeah, you got a bit of, you know, from this consolidation, you know, there's actually a little bit of a high volume node. When you're ranging, it's a high volume node bounce and rejection area, right? You got this previous day point of control and this mini range right over here from this morning that's actually providing that big bounce right now, right? Locally, right? You got that high volume node that is acting as good support here. Yeah, it's still a difficult long. I mean, you these point of control levels, you can treat them as like the short trade that was provided here, scalp, of course. Inside of the trading community, we're hitting the previous day point of control. You know, you got a bit of time here to enter a short, stop loss at the high. You get the movement to the downside. You want to collect some profits. Same can be treated with these mini range point of controls right there, right? You've got this mini range from today. That's exactly where we got the reaction. So you can treat this as so, right? You tap into the level and your entry is in this zone. Your stop loss is beneath the low of the reaction of this point of control. You know, it's an acceptable aggressive entry, right? You get the pump, you collect some profits, you can manage risk accordingly here. But yeah, I didn't get into this long. You know, for me, we could have considered it at the beginning of the stream, right? We're hitting the point of control, tight stop loss. But it's a very, very rangy structure, as we can see throughout the last 24 hours, right? You know, if you are shorting the highs or longing the lows, you want to really collect the profits here, because at the end of the day, the breakout could happen to the upside or to the downside, right? So when you're range trading, you treat it as a scalps. Short the highs of the range to profit at the lows of the range, long the lows of the range to take profit at the highs of the range, right? There's not much you can do here based on big movements, right? A $5,000 move, there's really not much here that we can do at the moment for those bigger trades, those bigger moves. So a little bit of a scalping environment here. Going back through the higher time frame, we'll break down the lower time frame, guys. My levels of interest, new levels of interest for a long position, they're actually beneath these higher lows that we formed in the last 2 days. Levels of interest for a short right now, I have to say it's a little bit more complex. Today was good with this bounce, okay, coming into that previous day point of control. It was actually a good level here to consider that scalp short. But new shorts here right now, not really in this zone. I wouldn't, you know, this is a zone that I don't want to participate coming back into this pivot high. Shorts would have to be taken from higher, I have to say. I'm very much aware of that breakout to the upside. So we'll break it down now in the next coming minutes. Okay, I do have a few things ready of this range, but first of all, I want to go through the fractal that's been discussed. Of course, we were talking about the similarities of this price action right over here in the last few days, right, where you have a three-wave structure up, you get an impulse down, corrective consolidation, and you end up breaking here to the downside. We got the bars pattern for this structure, okay, right over here, but this is on sorry, this is not the one, this one right over here, which is from this range. We had to squeeze it, of course, but this is this price action. When you do squeeze it in, right, because it's a bit of a lower time frame, you have very, very similar, okay, momentum. And I think there's too many eyes watching this. Too many eyes. It is not the same, but it is very much quite similar. It's corrective structure, move down. Now this bounce is what is making, hey, are we going to end up rejecting from the value area high or not for the bears? I do have there's some doubts here. There is some doubts, of course. So we just need to treat it, okay, with a grain of salt. This other one, which is a little bit more accurate, is from the price action of 2022 in June, right? May, June. And the similarities of this is pretty crazy. Which this did end up getting the bounce. It did end up getting the significant bounce. Okay, this was back in 2022. That's this price action right over here, May, June. Okay, and the drop and the consolidation is what is very, very similar, as we can see on the bars pattern. You have that three-wave move to the upside, the dump, and the price creating that cheeky pump, hitting the resistance value area high to just, confuse us. Are we getting a bullish pennant? Is the movement forming a correction? Just to later on, days after, to really start moving down very aggressively. Now, history does not need to repeat, of course. History does not need to repeat. Based on Elliott wave theory on the higher time frame, it looks better for this to be a three-wave corrective structure. You have your impulse down, you're getting your corrective bounce. Now we're just busy with a few 1-2s potentially before we actually get that movement to the downside. Now, preferably you do form those lower highs, as you can see here, right, on the bars pattern. So preferably this maintains lower highs, and that 71.7k high from Tuesday, is not hit, right? If that is hit, I'm going to have my doubts here for a double top swing failure pattern. I think it can be achievable, of course, right? We can speculate on that, because if it does reject, it could end up falling very aggressively, right? And then we're going to just only hope. I wish I would have got into that short. It just double topped. So there could be a very good risk management short trade if the price decides to take out 71.8k. I have to treat it as so. It can actually form a swing failure pattern at the end of the day, because we are at very crucial resistance, which is the value area high of the entire range of the last 5 weeks. And we are seeing proof that there is resistance here, right? It's proven to have resistance because we've been trading here for the last 2 days, trying to tackle and break, 71k, which is literally where the value area high is. So it's like, damn, will it or will it won't, right? Break to the downside. And of course, this is why it's so important to understand the local price action. What is going on here? This is where we are going to give a lot of love and power with knowledge to try and understand the probability side, of course, if we could roll down from here. New information locally is crucial, because I can be bearish on the higher time frame, but as the price action develops throughout the last few days, we need to consider always the bearish and the bullish case And the bulls do have a chance here for this to be a corrective structure. Naturally, I'm not a fan of breakout trading. Okay, you guys know that. I rather want to get in at the lowest part possible for a long. Would I treat this as so? Hey, we're breaking the lower high trend line of the triangle. I'm so aware of fake outs. I'm so aware that this is such a strong resistance value area high we've been rejecting throughout the last few days. It's like, do you think I want to get into a breakout here? It could come to fruition, no doubt. Nothing against about this breakout trading. I just don't like it. I'm aware of fake outs, big resistance. As we got these rejections at the value area high of the last 5 weeks, do you think I would be interested in getting into a long at resistance on a breakout? I don't think so. Regardless if it breaks, okay, it's just for me not one of those trades that I want to get into, right? You stop loss inside of the triangle again. It ain't me. This ain't me. Stop loss at the lows. There's no chance. I risk, my money for this breakout attempt. Okay, and longing into resistance. This is me, of course, right? This is me. You can take the chance in it, and if you manage risk, you can take that shot. But for me, it's not the style of trading that I have developed throughout the last few years, and it's not the way how I trade, of course. So will this come to fruition? Let's actually create a poll. And there's been a lot of people, Devil did point this out yesterday. We'll break down now the lower time frame, guys, okay? But it's just on the higher time frame. I'm more interested on the higher time frame rejection and the higher time frame scenarios based on the swing short. We'll dive in the next coming minutes, okay? Give us a minute into what are the interest levels to either get into a long trade or a short trade, okay? And can't wait for that dump. Yeah, I think a lot of people, I'm not sure if more people are bearish or bullish, guys, so stick around and please let me know on the poll, will the 2022 you would arguably discuss, and basically a few months ago you would say that this is very, very similar as well, of course on a lower time frame, very, very similar price action. I would just say, will the 2022 fractal, which is a little bit more similar, okay, which is this one right over here, will it play out as so? Will the 2022 fractal play out? Yes, we will dump soon. Bitcoin is pumping. It just doesn't want to. I have that gut feeling which is bullish. The analysis there, what the chart is giving me is bearish. I see the bearish chart, the bearish CVDs, value area high resistance. Elliott wave theory suggests that it looks more bearish looking at the last few weeks on the 4-hourly and 1-hourly time frame. But then with the new information from the last few days, I got that gut feeling that it's saying it's gonna pop out. It's gonna pop to the upside. It's gonna actually break out. And that's the gut feeling, of course, right? Also based on the new information. No, we will pump. And yeah, let me know the votes, guys, because I'm actually interested in the sentiment here locally, where we at with the current situation here, where Bitcoin is trading at the moment. Okay, so get your votes in. I want to see here what okay, get your votes in. We can get at least 100 votes here in the next coming minutes, and I just want to see what the people are feeling about here with the current situation. And most importantly, I think we need to break down the 15-minute time frame and even the 5-minute time frame to understand this range, which can extend. Unfortunately, it can extend a little bit. If it is going to be bullish, we have the possibility of this movement to the upside to actually be bullish. Okay, there is a possibility. I mean, we need to look at this point the latest moves, which is this one and this one. That's what I want to focus on right now on stream. We'll break down a little bit of the Elliott wave possibilities and the levels of confluence, which at this point it is outside of the range. We're getting squeezed a little bit in a triangle, so we'll break down a little bit of the different scenarios, the big levels of confluence, and discuss, you know, what are the different possibilities regarding a trading setup, of course. Okay, so let's go right away through the poll and see what is going on. Just got stopped out at the rest of the position here of that short, but it was a good scalp short. Okay, we got the rejection from previous day point of control. Very, very nice little intraday scalp. Okay, we cannot ask for much more in this range. You just need to, you know, long and short the highs of the range and try, you know, basically long the lows of the range as well. So it's a nice little scalp that we did talk about inside of the trading community today. Okay, this is, you know, it is a scalp short position. If, you know, giving the updates, if you did get into that short, right, make sure to collect some profits, okay, and protect position if you did get into that rejection. This is only a scalping environment. We can't ask for much more at this moment, because it actually could break up or it can break down. Remember, if you are interested in joining the trading community for the daily updates for the possible scalping entries, you do have the DMs open, guys. It's super simple to join. Send me a DM with the word access. You can join either Bluffin, Velto, do a minimum deposit. We'll get you free access for the first few months inside of the trading community. Bluffin right now is, you know, with this insane campaign with $50,000 in rewards. Okay, make sure to take advantage. Bluffin would be the one that I would suggest. That's where I have my heavier capital, of course, one of my favorite exchanges throughout the last couple of years. Let's take a look at the such an ugly impulse. Yes, it is. I'm not sure if you're talking about this one over here. It is very confusing, very overlapping, but this is what is important right now. You know, this has the potential of being something corrective, which is obviously going to be likely bullish to take out these local highs at 71.8k. So let's take a look at the poll. We'll go through the comment section and it will be time to discuss 15-minute, 5-minute, what I would be looking for my next intraday scalp. You know, just got stopped out at break even right now with this pump from the recent short from a few hours ago, but we cannot treat this range any different. Okay, it's a scalping environment at the moment, and we can't do much more than that. Okay, obviously swing long, swing short. Swing long is very, very poor. Not very, didn't go heavy on the swing long, on the day trade swing long potential. But overall, you know, swing trades are open, but in this zone we can only do scalps. Right, let's take a look at the votes here. Almost 100 votes. Smash up the like button if you do enjoy the content, guys. It will be much appreciated. My like button absolutely sucks. So it would be much appreciated. I'm gonna read through the comment section right now, and I'll dive in through the 15-minute time frame to discuss a little bit this range that does have the possibility of breaking out bullish, unfortunately for the bears, right? Will the 2022 fractal play out? Yes, we will dump soon. 69, great number. 69%, okay? 68 say yes, we will dump soon. The fractal will play out. No, we will pump, only 32%. So there's a little bit more bearishness, okay? People are believing that the price, you know, will end up forming a lower high from 74k and, you know, rolling over, right, at some point very, very soon. So let's just say a quick hello to the beautiful community that have just joined right now. Jorge, ¿cómo estás, amigo? Much love. For now, the triangle has played out perfectly. We got a higher low today and a lower high. Chichan, yeah, it is a little bit of a triangle formation here, right? You do have a little bit of a triangle formation at the moment in this zone. The problem is with this triangle, I cannot fit an impulsive move from this low to this high. We have a big problem with this wick and it doesn't fit nicely for an impulse. So if we were to form a triangle, the problem is that we have a flat here and you can't start, you know, your A wave in a flat. And of course you form a new low here. So I have some issues here about this being a bullish pennant. If you're counting the triangle as so, right? To just form a higher low and ending up breaking up here. I'm not a fan of this triangle, of breaking out here with power. Not the best looking one based on how we started the move down, right? And this is going a little bit more complex. I don't want to give a headache based on, you know, why it doesn't fit nicely, but it has to do with not finishing an impulse here. You know, literally finishing an impulse here fits better with this structure. And of course a flat is not possible inside of the triangle. It needs to be three-wave zigzag structures. Okay, so we got an issue with the triangle here, the higher time frame triangle. We could squeeze into a lower time frame triangle, and that could be something. We're going to break that down right away, of course, in the next coming minutes. Much love to everybody. Somebody was pointing out here the triangle, you know, it is actually forming a triangle formation, which is looking pretty good. But Andy, we got the scenario of the triangle of X, A, B, C, D, E triangle. Yes, very true. This is that's why I'm, you know, there is ways of fitting a WXY with a triangle, either in X, either in Y, that could obviously give us some ideas of either breaking up or down. Can't wait for that dump, says Jerome. Bucks, much love. Such an ugly impulse, he says. Yes, sir. Only 30% bullish. I guess I'm going to buy some more spot bags today. Yes, we've been brainwashed with the bearishness, right? I've been also. The analysis, everything, you know, when everything looks so perfect for the bearish case, and this is actually, you know, you even got bearish CVD divergence. Not only there's actually longs entering in the market. This is data that you have. You know, this is not making it up. There's people long in here. So, and you do have bearish CVDs, even from 74K high, which was from last week, basically, right? Lower highs on price action. Look at the blue here, which is basically Bybit US dollar tether. They've been longing like crazy the last few days. We got high highs on CVD. Even on the rest of exchanges, we're already starting to form some higher highs from the peak high of 74K on the CVD. There's people longing and there's big bearish CVD divergence. This is why if we end up breaking out from here, I am really considering shorting either this wick high or coming into very strong resistance, which is 72.6K. I will be happy to, you know, attempt a short here where we do have that point of control and that daily level at 72.6K because of the huge bearish CVD divergence that we do have from 74K. We got higher highs on CVD here like crazy as shown. So, you know, that is also creating that liquidity to the downside, right? There's plenty of liquidity of longs. The data is suggesting that there's been more longs entering the market the last few days. So this is why, you know, I would really consider a double top here from this high as a fake out. Okay, taking out Elliott wave theory out the window, because I know a lot of people just don't want to go through. We're going to end up breaking it down. Obviously, you know, for me, like Mariella says, who's a moderator for many years, you're going to end up talking about Elliott wave theory. Don't pretend that you're not going to talk about it and just talk about levels, order blocks, right? Levels of interest on easier way of understanding the trading setup. I'll end up going through the complex scenarios, of course, because it's inevitable, right? If you have the knowledge to read Elliott wave theory, then you are going to end up breaking it down, of course, on stream, even though I know maybe 50% of the people that watch, don't have too much experience and ends up leaving the stream because it's just too much. So this is why we're going to talk about this. Big bearish CVD divergence from this high of 74K of last week. We got massive higher highs on the CVD. This is good for the bears. This gives us the possibility, of course, which is looking good, to get below 65K. That is the target when you do have bearish CVD divergence from a major pivot. The target is taking out that low, which is sitting at 65.6K approximately. So it's good. It's looking good. I'm extremely interested in shorts. Extremely interested. I'm in a very good short here. I got into a short here. I got stopped out already. Collected a bit of profits. Rest of it is stopped out. Keeping it in simple terms, fake out of this bullish pennant or whatever, or a triangle if you wish, right? We're keeping things basic. Fake out to test the highs and reject. I will treat it as so because this gives you the best entries, reactions at liquidity grabs. Okay, give you the best entries and the best risk management. I really like these SFPs. They, you can stop loss above the high of the wick. If you break out, there's no short trade to be taken. So here, for me, in simple terms, based on the bearish CVD divergence that we do have from the longs that are entering in the last few days, we claim this high, which we do have a little bit of liquidity, as you can see right there, just above 71.7K. It might just hit 72K, right? Get above those highs and then reject. You've swept that liquidity and then it rolls over. This is a very valid swing failure pattern, double top high, considering as well, not only the bearish CVD divergence, but also the value area high of this entire range for that, second fake out potential. So that's a valid entry here. It's something that we would, I would very much attempt if we do get up there and we do create the fake out. Entry, stop loss. This could get a nice pullback down and, maybe even drop to lower prices in the coming days. It's a good entry. It's a good stop loss. Bearish CVD divergence. And naturally, this could end up being a three-wave structure on its own right over here. And this, the impulse down, three-wave structure up. You struggle here. You end up forming the SFP and you roll down later on. Very, very valid short entry, guys, okay? It's very, very valid. Big bearish CVDs as well, guys. And you just sweep up that little bit of liquidity that there is above 71.8K. What if the price breaks out? Well, naturally, if the price does come up into the level and it doesn't create that swing failure pattern, it just breaks out. I do not have any quick short position between 72.6 and 71.8K. You either swing failure pattern, entry, stop loss. If we break up the biggest zone of resistance that we do have before coming up to 74K, which is the highs that we did have from Wednesday last week, is a daily level and a naked point of control or point of control of the range, little mini range that we had here from last Wednesday and Thursday. That's the strongest zone of resistance that we do have, okay, between the double top high and the highs of 74K. So what would be the plan? Plan is simple. You know, when we talk about an entry, reaction at the highs of Tuesday at 71.8 to get into that short. Stop loss at the high. Look for the rejection. If we break out, there's no short to be taken because you need to get the price beneath that high. Then you understand the double top potential. But if you don't double top, you start breaking out. The next level of interest for the reaction is that daily level and point of control of that range at 72.6. This would be very valid because at the end of the day, you know, the price could really look like it is bullish, and that's what the bulls like to do, right? The market makers like to do that, where it looks like you're gonna be bullish. I was going to give you an example here, but yeah, it doesn't really matter. Well, let's give you that example, of course, right? And this was the price action basically here in October of 2025. You create that swing failure pattern, and this is moving up, creating a lower high, right? Almost taking out this recent high. So you're getting extremely close to take out the highs, right? Over here after you created this swing failure pattern. So it's like really squeezing in, and whoever shorted that SFP and protected, you know, got stopped out at break even and the price left without him. So this is why we're talking about the lower time frame, because it could give you such an epic entry where the price rejected nicely here from the anchored VWAP, and if the price does take out the recent highs with a double top or hitting 72.6k, where we have that good confluence, it's a zone that I would still attempt the short if we do react to it, because there's nothing worse, right, than actually being in an epic short or believing that this is going to be bullish and you break out, okay, above 74k, and you just form a very, very, tight lower high to then only roll down later on, right, in the next coming days. And that's like, damn, I've been bearish. I was in an epic short here. This looked bullish, and it just, recovered almost the entire dump, just to dump later on, still forming a lower high. And that's a clear example that we do have from October of 2025, right, where you do create that high in that SFP, and you got that big move up, almost hitting the 0.88 or hitting the 0.88 actually, and just rolling down later on. So if you shorted here, you got stopped out at break even, you would have kicked yourself in the balls for not getting into short here, right? So just brainstorming some ideas. And when we do consider Elliott wave theory, okay, when we do consider Elliott wave theory, hang on a minute, let me get this drawing out of the way. It is true that this could be the end. It has the potential, based on the fractal, based on Elliott wave, to be a 3-wave corrective structure. This can be an impulse. This move can be an impulse. This could be corrective. You end up breaking out just only to form a 3-wave move to the upside to then dump later on. Because of that, it is interesting to consider the entry at the double top locally here, or if broken, consider the highest confluence level that we do have above 71.8k, which is 72.6k, where you have a daily and a mini range point of control to get the reaction for that possibility of the 3-wave move to only dump down later on. So these are the two very interesting levels to pay attention to the reaction. These kind of trades can provide insane good risk to reward. Say that we do, come up to 72.6k reaction, stop loss. This has the potential of, going down and giving insane risk to reward naturally throughout the next coming days, even couple of weeks. It's all based on the entry, all based on the reaction, levels of confluence, Elliott wave theory scenarios, 3-wave move up, just get above this high or get to this level to only dump later on. And it's all about the execution. It's not about I'm shorting, my stop loss is all the way up here, I don't know what I'm doing, and then you make a mess of your account. It's reacting at the exact levels to take that trade and manage risk, of course. Okay, just fitting in that education for the people on how to manage your risk naturally with your trading. So that's a little bit of, keeping it in simple terms. We're going to go later on Elliott wave theory on this range, which could extend still for the next 1 to 2 days. But we'll go down that rabbit hole later on when, people have left and gone to see some other random crypto tuber that is talking about a triangle and a bullish breakout pennant and stuff like that, and some random moving averages, right? But we'll break that down later on. Okay, we're just going to keep things a little bit more simple, and then we'll go down the rabbit hole of more complex analysis on different ways on how the price could move, of course. Right, the long zone, you can see here that on Coinbase we're literally squeezing in between value area high and value area low. In this squeezing zone, we're getting rejected from value area high, and we like bouncing at point of control of this range. This is on Coinbase. Maybe on Binance and Bybit, point of control is slightly lower. However, we do have a weekly naked point of control at 68.3k. This zone would be my zone, preferably to look for a new long entry. Okay, new long entry, considering the bullish case where this is an impulse, the correction hasn't finished yet. Sweep up these lows, get the reaction at the point of control, get the reaction at the recent lows from yesterday, and then look for the price to recover naturally, right? I'm going to explain on the lower time frame what I would want to see, basically just using the drawing, keeping it very, very simple, of course, for the viewer. We've actually got a 8-hour order block as well, which is just from this range. Okay, this is an 8-hour period right there, consolidation, where there's an order block literally where we have the range point of control. The price action, these are liquidity pockets at this point. When you are ranging, you naturally create liquidity here, right? At the lows of the range, at the highs of the range. If the price were to, depending on how this could evolve, because it could evolve in many, many ways, which we'll break down later. But at the end of the day, you move down into the lows. Moving down into the lows here, you sweep up this low. I'm going to treat it as so. There's two ways, two levels of guidelines that I have here. This is like getting into this SFP right there, right? If you get into this swing failure pattern from this pivot low, you enter and you put a stop loss at the low, boom, you move to the upside. That's where you're looking for this intraday entry, basically, right? So if we do come down to this low, I would treat it as so. Point of control of the entire range of the last 5 weeks here, highest volume node on Coinbase. And I would treat this level as a solid level as support, where I would want to see the price fake out this zone and reclaim, of course, the point of control and the lows created on Wednesday. This is going to give me a long potential entry, okay, where I can manage risk very, very much. Bullish case scenario might come to fruition, where this is an impulsive move up, and this ends up being a corrective structure to then only later on break out and test 71.9k highs. It's an entry. You have levels of confluence, which is the point of control of the range. You need that price to claim that liquidity, and then obviously reclaim that low and the point of control of the range to consider the long entry. You got a 8-hour order block from here. You also have the point of control. You're sweeping up the lows for that liquidity, and once you reclaim it, it would give me that possible entry to target the breakout to get above 71.8k. Okay, that's one scenario. I have these two levels because these are my two guideline levels. If you lose that point of control of the range, I am no longer interested in attempting, of course, the long, right? I need the reclaim to look for the long stop loss to potentially go to higher prices later on. If you break it, then no long will be taken. The higher lows right there, we've got a little, the order block higher lows basically from the 8-hour time frame. A weekly naked point of control, okay, at 68.3k. I'm going to use this level also as a guideline. You break all of these levels, no longs will be taken. Reaction level number 1 is this one for the long attempt. Reaction level number 2, if this one is broken, is going to be that weekly naked point of control. You've got some nice higher lows right there as well to create that kind of SFP reaction. This is probably coming down to almost the golden pocket. Almost the golden pocket. Golden pocket could be hit from the lows to the highs as well in this fake out attempt to the downside from the lows to the highs. Golden pocket is slightly below that weekly naked point of control, but regardless, I would treat these two levels as the guidelines for me to get into that long position, okay? Because this can be a corrective structure. It can be a corrective structure, and it's much better, right, trying to long the reaction support levels than either attempting, right, to long the breakout coming into resistance. It's more dangerous, right? You don't need to go based on the FOMO of the price action, right? I'm gonna long, it's gonna pop out, look how bullish it is, it's gonna break out this, bullish pennant. If you want to long, a pennant, a bullish pennant, or a triangle, if you wish, it's much better getting into the longs from the lows, right? And if you do have good support levels at the lows where you know how to execute the trade, it's literally a reactionary zone. You don't get no reaction, no long. You get the reaction, you have that long attempt. Stop loss, literally beneath the low of the fake out, with the possibility not only going to the range highs, of course, but maybe coming to the highs of this little mini range of the last few days to get above 71.7k. So reaction level number 1, reaction level number 2, weekly naked point of control at 68.3k. That's where I would consider out of this box, okay, based off confluence, the levels where I would look for the long position, okay. It kind of seems a little bit out of whack here to look for longs, right? It's like the chart is bearish. We got the fractal here from 2022. There's too much bearish signs here. We are under the valley area high. You got the 3-wave structure, very similar to a few months ago, and you got an impulse down. You're back testing the level of resistance here, valley area high. It's like, it seems like, man, I just don't want to look for longs, right? Well, we have to look for longs as well. We have to, because there's nothing worse than being bearish or only bullish for the last, 2-3 weeks and not make any trading on both sides of the market. Because I'm throughout the last week I'm short from here, but I also entered a long based on the explanation that was given on Friday's stream, guys. Get that grinding structure on the weekend, last weekend, right? Monday, Tuesday, we could be getting that pump into the Valley area high 70k region. So, long was also taken from down there. Just because, I'm in short already. I know the bounce that could happen of a few $1,000s. Let's take advantage. So we want to long, we want to short. We're looking at both sides of the market, and there is availability for both scenarios. Keeping it simple for the viewer, there's been, explaining a little bit of the plan here. Short double top is acceptable based on a 3-wave structure. Get that fake out, claim that little liquidity that there is above 71.8k, which we can see here on the heat map. You got that little spike of short liquidations, okay, sitting at 71.9, 72k region, right? Few hundred million in short liquidations. Very valid double top scenario. Considering Elliot wave theory, it could end up being a 3-wave structure, impulse down. Very available, of course, for that high to be created at this zone. That zone is broken. Next major level to point out, as explained, is that point of control and that daily level. There's 2 levels. And you know what? The good thing about having these 2 levels is I can manage risk. There's nothing worse in trading than having a long or a short. It's in negative and you're hoping for a reversal. Because at some point in trading, with no experience and no good risk management, what does come next? Only hope. Hope comes next. Hope is very famous in trading, right? For unexperienced traders. Many people hold trades in the negative, hoping for a reversal, right? Hope is only what you have left when your trade is in the negative. So what you need to have is proper structured plans. And the plans are simple. You just need to follow them. If you follow the plans, you'll end up making gains at the end of the week. You want to see my P&L? Do you want to see my P&L from the exchanges? Bluffing, right? Throughout the last 30 days, 60 days, 90 days. BTCC. You follow the plans, you will end up making good profits eventually. So, at the end of the day, what is your plan here? I like the confluence levels. I understand Elliot wave theory. I understand this could end up being a 3-wave structure. Will it double top for a shallow C wave? Or will it pop out and squeeze here, really trying to get almost to 74k, coming to the 7.8 Fibonacci, almost the 0.88, and ending up rejecting from there? Absolutely. I have 2 levels. Anywhere traded between these 2 levels, not interested in the short, not interested in the short. So it's either here or it's either here, where I look for the reaction to then take that short so I can have a stop loss above the reaction high, okay? That's it. You break up, it's okay. I ain't going to be the guy that's going to have, shorts adding up here. Oh, it needs to reverse, right? I got this DM from somebody. I don't want to obviously show, but someone that is in a short from 67k and added to the short to 68k, and he was asking me the opinion about, what to do and what do I think about it, right? Does it look good to finally coming to profits? And I'm like, damn. Yeah, what if this ends up being very corrective, which it does very much look like it has the potential. I don't know if the price is going to end up breaking out. Holy smokes, you know, we need to get into trades based on reaction at levels, high probability bounces or rejections. And, you know, for the moment, what I do have here for you is these two guidelines. They are guidelines. You trade above it, there's no short. You trade below it, you know, there's a potential short with good risk management, right? Tight stop loss above the wick high of the fake out. Same applies to the downside. If this is going to be impulsive and this is going to be corrective, I do not want to see the price action break successfully these levels. You know, I'm happy for them to be tested and reclaimed naturally. That's where I'm going to long. That's where I'm going to put stop loss. And, you know, looking for the reclaim of these heavy levels of confluence for that possible long. So you trade beneath them, there's no trade. You trade back above them after a potential fake out. Then that, you know, that's how we can execute this trade, either for a short or a long, being a absolute king on risk management, right? So keeping things a little bit more simple. This was very much my way of trading a few years ago, based on, you know, high volume nodes, daily levels, weekly levels, okay, rangy, you know, trading structure. And it keeps it a little bit more simple for the people that don't have too much experience, because I know maybe 20-30% of my viewers are very happy with Elliot wave theory and, you know, like to follow up the different possibilities. But I know a lot of people want a little bit more basic stuff for their, you know, trading experience, and this would be one of them, right? Keeping things a little bit simple. Remember where we, you know, how we get the high volume nodes is getting the fixed volume profile. We got high volume nodes right there where we can see the reaction today, right? You can have a trading strategy based on point of controls, because you have in this range that we formed. The beauty about range trading and range and getting into these mini range point of controls as you know, into a setup, is the beauty about the ranges is that you're going to get a movement up, movement down, range, you know, move down, range, move up, range, move down, range. These ranges provide high volume nodes. You get your fixed volume profile here in the left, and when you do get that range, okay, point of control, and this range point of control, the price likes to reject or react from those levels, okay, from those ranges, range point of controls. So this in a range is literally a strategy. In ranges, you form consolidations, right? And these consolidations do provide you a high volume node. And throughout the last 24 hours, well, we literally got a rejection, okay, from the highs of that point of control. And here we got a bounce from this mini range point of control, you know, bouncing over $1,000. You know, that's pretty good for a scalp. So, you know, it is a strategy. If you want to take Elliot wave and other more complex scenarios, range trading can be very, very lucrative for intraday scalps. And this is why inside of the trading community, we talked about this short trade. Treat it as a scalp, because we're going to come down to the lows of the range and we might bounce here, or we might just sweep up the lows and then bounce. Range trading, this short trade scalp setup from the previous day point of control was provided in today's update. We can consider this a short with stop above the reaction from the previous day point of control as we were coming into that level. And naturally, with a little bit of the guidance later on, you know, if you did get into that short position, it's you know, we want to consider taking some profits as we are in a range and we basically bouncing up and down here in this range. Okay, if you are interested in joining to get daily updates and possible intraday scalping setups as well, I'm more of a swing trader. I know Devil's more focused in the intraday scalping, but today we managed to spot that intraday scalp, giving the guidance inside of the trading community. Shoot me a DM right away if you are interested in joining to take your trading experience, of course, to the next level. Okay, super simple to join. You just need to sign up throughout one of the affiliate links. Bluffin right now has an insane campaign, okay, with great bonuses and perks up to $50,000. The more you trade, the more bonuses you get, of course. And super easy to join, guys. Send me the DM access on Telegram. We'll jump you in just to have more guidance, okay, and more updates every day, apart from YouTube or anyone else that you are following, of course. It just gives you that extra cherry on top of the cake. Right, let's is it time for Elliott wave theory? Is it time to go a little bit more complex in this range? Because this range can continue. It can continue. Okay, so overall, let's break down the different scenarios. Okay, let me go quickly through the comment section. If you did enjoy a little bit of the explanation and a little bit of the levels of interest, and a little bit of tips on strategies such as the range, mini range point of control levels, how to manage risk properly, right? Smash up the like button, guys. This content is for free, and it would be much appreciated if I do see that like button be a little bit better from the last few days, because it is, I'll end up with 0 likes in the next few days if we still continue like that. Damn. Anyway, let's say hello to the wonderful community. Much love. We'll break down Elliott wave scenarios right now, guys. And so the people that don't like Elliott wave theory, they can leave in the next coming minutes, because we're going to go a little bit with a few scenarios, and it can be a little bit of a headache. Teach us how to count to 5 or ABCs. My man Devalt, knock knock, Alpha in the house. Much love to you, Devalt. Okay, I'm not sure if people are more here for education or to actually, break down the setups, the levels that I'm looking for. Gran contenido, Francisco. Muchas gracias, amigo. Muchas gracias. Gran contenido. Great content. Thank you very much, my man. Told you we're breaking out first. To the upside, that is, right? We're breaking out. Told you we're breaking out first. We're still in this range. We're still in this damn range, right? We ain't breaking down as of yet or breaking up, right? Very, very triangle-y structure here. But it kind of would be cheeky based on the on this fractal that Devil was also commenting. I was looking more at the last few months fractal here. I know Devil as well on his stream. It's like, let's just invite. Can we just pump out of nowhere here? Because there's actually a lot of people. I've gone through X as well this morning with my coffee, which I do, follow some different, crypto analysts and Bitcoin analysts as well. And there's actually a lot of people talking about this fractal and saying how bearish Bitcoin looks. And when you have that gut feeling when you see so many bearishness and it does look so bearish, even counting myself, because the structure does scream to us it looks more bearish. But wouldn't it be just so epic to just get a goddamn pump and actually get up to 80k or something like that in the next week? And I'll be like, man, so long being bearish for the last couple of weeks to only 3-wave impulse down. Look, this also happened in this range, very, very similar, right? Also in 2022, we're in a bear market. I mean, come on, value area high resistance, and just later on for the price to get an epic pump up here, right? And it's like, oh wow, right? I wasn't expecting that. Right? And Devil was going through that in today's morning stream, which was very, very entertaining. I did watch you, Devil, by the way. I did comment. I did smash up the like button. And Devil was basically saying, you know, let's just invalidate this goddamn fractal Elliott wave analysis, right? Value area high being broken right in the end as we back testing it throughout the last few days. Let's just pump out and screw all of the analysis. Screw the bearish CVD divergence as well, right? From 74k high, right? We've got lower highs and insane bearish CVD divergence. It's literally insane, the divergence that we formed in the last week. Of course, local divergence are more important, because right now, if we do get insane lower lows locally here, and we do have higher lows on the price action, we're going to take out the highs. If that continues to follow with higher highs and higher lows on price action, and lower highs and lower lows on the CVD as we form that uptrend price action, it's going to be bullish. It's going to likely be bullish, because local CVD is what leads the way. Local CVD divergence from the last few hours and last few minutes even leads the way. It doesn't matter if you have massive bearish CVD divergence from last week. Local CVDs rule the game of the local movements. And if you do continue local bullish CVDs, then you're just going to keep grinding to the upside, right? So, but anyway, these divergence from the last week are very disturbing. People are longing here into resistance like there's no tomorrow. Is it going to break out, right? Which I can't do that. I need to long from the lows, not at resistance. You know, I can't long up here at the top of the range. It's just I cannot do it. I cannot do it. I need to look for lows, reaction, you know, exhaustion, double bottoms, SFPs, you know, levels of confluence to reclaim them, because I don't want to long up here. I want to be in the long already. If I do enter the long, such as this long here, which was very, very bad, just because I was asleep here. I had to long in the morning on Monday, saying, you know, this is going to get a larger bounce, I'm sure, which was basically explained on last Friday, right? Where, you know, the bounce was just likely to happen after the weekend. You know, you're probably going to, you know, grind here to the downside and then get the bounce on Monday morning or you know, Sunday night. We were discussing on the stream on Friday. Anyway, let's go through comment section. It's about time. I'll break down a bit of the few scenarios here on the lower time frame. Much love to everybody. Thanks for smashing up the like button. My goodness, I asked for a like button smash. We got 10 more likes. Oh, absolutely great, guys. Yeah, spot on. Anyway, let me just take a drink of water, smash up the like button. I'll go through comment section and we'll break down a little bit of the complex Elliott wave structures here. I'm scared of Elliott wave theory because I know a lot of people don't like it. I love it very much. But let me just get a drink of water, stand up, stretch my legs, and we'll break down the local time frame, and I'll go through comment section. We'll do a little bit of both scenarios, okay? Also, let me know who is some people feeling bullish, some people feeling bearish. Are you long? Are you short? My only current active trades are these two right over here. My intraday short scalp setup that was provided today inside of the trading community for that possible local short getting resistance got stopped out at break even, as you see. Profits were taken, of course. It's only a scalp short trade, so only local trade setups are these ones at the moment. This long position, and obviously the big swing short, because I am a bit more bear than bull, guys, as you know. Maybe some haters, which is not many, are wishing that I get stopped out at break even from this short. Anyway, let's go through the comment section. Much love to everybody. Hope everyone's doing great. We love Elliot Wave Theory, says Sun Lee. I know a lot of people do enjoy it a lot. But yeah, so I know many don't. I also, right? This is why you don't see too much Elliot Wave Theory on YouTube as well. There's not too much out there. But there's a lot of moving average, you know, bullish triangle pennants and stuff like that. There's a lot of content for that, you know, basic analysis, which is, I do understand, it's much easier to follow. Anyway, Devil, much love to you. Right, Bucks, hard to be bullish when B1B Lancer, okay, loading up a bunker buster bombs in UK this morning, ready to, yeah, mention the S&P opened low and looking to take the recent lows. Yeah, this is also, we do know all of the, you know, the tensions and, you know, escalation that is happening. I don't go down that rabbit hole, but I've read a lot of interesting news that would be interesting to. Shall we make the channel also to bring in macro news? Because I feel that, you know, it can be a little bit boring just being technical, mainly on Bitcoin, talking for an hour, 2 hours, only Bitcoin. But I'm not very much of a news guy. I enjoy looking at a lot of news in the morning with my coffee as I'm doing my analysis. And you know, if I need to do the trading community, I will, unless Devil is there. But I love, you know I have a lot of news that we can talk about, but I kept this channel mainly for Bitcoin analysis and trading setups. Also a bit of crypto naturally. But shall we integrate news? I know a lot of people do news as well. Alex O Crypto, let's go, my man. Much love. Thanks for joining the stream. Boring market, bear market, people losing interest. Alex O Crypto, guys, make sure to check out this guy because he's absolutely awesome. Great guy from Canada. And he's a G. Much love to you. You're a G, my man. He does very good scalping on his channel. Okay, make sure to go and check Alex O Crypto right away. He's a G. God bless. Have a great day, homie. Much love to you, my man. Go and check out Alex O Crypto, guys. Subscribe to the channel. Much love to you, my man. Hope you're doing great. The GOAT YouTube brother, the absolute GOAT here. We have him, Alex O Crypto. Crypto Gardeners, hit the like button like a bear. I mostly trade from point of control to point of control. Thomas, that's very interesting. Yeah, this is it is very valid, especially when you're ranging, right? Just keeping that education. It is a very, very successful way of day trading. It's scalping basically, because you form a little range in a few days or even 1 to 2 weeks. And always in a range, you are going to form mini ranges, right? Throughout the range as well, right? Where you could consider that also. And as someone was saying here, just basically long and short based on, point of controls. It is kind of a strategy. When you're ranging, of course, when you're in a very heavy uptrend, you don't, there's no point of control or ranges, right, to trade. It's only when you form a range in about 24 to 48 hours at a bare minimum, such as this range here. But like Smash, much love. Thank you guys. Other gang, do you guys think stablecoins dominance is bullish for hours? We can actually take a look at the stablecoins. We've got the S&P 500 here, which is just at the lows of the range. Stablecoin, I mean USDT dominance. USDT is the largest one, but yeah, I mean it has been quite bullish, if I'm not mistaken, right, in the last few weeks. Holy smokes, this actually was very, very bullish. You did not SFP from these range highs, and you just broke out aggressively and just SFPing from these little peak highs right there. You got fair value gap, nothing really to stop the price here after breaking out from the highs basically here, and just formed a little SFP from these little highs that we have on the US dollar tether dominance. Man, at this point I would strongly believe that we are going to take out the all-time high on the stable coin dominance. Okay, we are very unlikely finished the bear market. Okay, very unlikely. Could the bear market low be in at 60k? I am not a believer of that as of yet, just based on timing and based on the structure. When we do take a look at Elliott wave theory on the higher time frame, it just wouldn't make sense. There's only one bullish case scenario, which for this to be the low literally at 60k, and that is that ABC flat. I mean, you're coming into this massive demand zone basically right now, and this is a big zone to hold. It's a big order block. I'm not sure if it's a monthly or maybe a monthly or a 3-month order block. And of course, it's a demand zone, right? So this has very good potential of holding. We are holding naturally in the last few weeks this area, but for this to be the low of the bear market, I would not believe so. The bullish case scenario would be an ABC expanding flat here, where you're literally looking at the 5th wave to be finished with that little spike down here. It is possible it is, but I bought some Bitcoin here just in case on spot, because there's nothing worse that the price just ends up breaking up and correcting down and breaking up and correcting down, right? And you know, at the end of the day, it's like, holy smacks, we've changed the structure and we are more bullish than we thought. But not leaning on this scenario, and I do believe that naturally, as Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies go lower in the next coming months, then the stable dominance, naturally will very likely take out that high and go into the 10% territory, right? So it is looking bullish. We've come all the way up to the 0.88 Fibonacci, and there's just high probability at a later stage at some point in the coming months to take out those highs on the stablecoin dominance. 72.2k dump. Big deals, much love, let's go. 72.2k then dump. Let's talk about that. It's a very valid option. Okay, we could be surprised and take out those recent highs of Tuesday at 71.8k, or get that reaction at the daily and the point of control. These are two levels that I would treat as sniper trades, basically reactionary levels, SFP, or reaction at the daily or the naked point of control. And at the end of the day, the bearish scenario, even though if we do take out this high, still could be in play, because you could still have your wave A, your wave B on the formation here, and then your wave C that either takes out this high and rolls over, or stretches a little bit more to hit the very high confluence zone at 72.6 mini range point of control, right? As explained also with the strategy here locally. And you also have a daily level with that point of control of this little range. Daily level, very close together, ending up potentially for an ABC, right? And the only way we can, I can trade this is getting the reaction, trading beneath the level once it's hit, so I can execute the trade, right? You break out and go to Valhalla, break out, then there's no short to be taken, of course. But somebody was pointing out 72.2k. Basically, this is why the explanation. Yeah, we could stretch here and form that double top. It is a possibility. I have seen very shallow C waves there are shallow C waves. C waves usually get to the 1-to-1 extension or even the 1-2-3-6. But based on this structure where you can have an impulse down here, and this could also be an impulse, this could be corrective. You form that impulse up just to form that ABC. It is valid. The only way I can trade the ABC speculation is a double top or reaction at the point of control of this range with the daily level. There's no other way I can get into that trade. It needs to trade back beneath either this high or the point of control in the daily, right? It's the only way I can trade it, right? There's no other way. You can give your best strategy to people, but people still end up losing money. Very true. It's very true. It's about management. It's about trading, executing, and not risking, more than 3% of your capital, which is very hard. I know a lot of people have $1,000 and they'll just, trade the $1,000 on one trade, right? It is extremely normal, and it's just human nature, human emotions. We all want to make money very, very quick and risk as much as possible to make insane gains, and it can work out for a small period of time, but long term it is not sustainable. Yes, risk management for the win, baby, says Axie Kuno. Thanks for clarifying. You're very much welcome, Crypto Gardenist. Is your main profession scalping? I used to scalp a lot and day trade a lot back in the day, 2020, 2021, 2022. From 2023, late 2023, I was mainly focused on day trade to swing trade, okay? Just because there is a moment in your trading career when you increase with capital and you're doing, financially okay, that scalping and day trading does get exhausting, and you just trade with swing trades with bigger capital at the end of the day. But scalping and day trading is very, very common for, the beginning stages. The first few years of your trading career is very much relying on scalping and day trading because you want to trade as much as possible to try and increase your capital. But there's the downside of it. If you don't have very good risk management and a very good strategy that you can follow up, the more you trade, the more probabilities you have in losing money. If you don't have a proper strategy and good risk management, it's just a reality in this ferocious industry. So I end up just trading more chilled, because inside of the community we need to we do our best to provide intraday entries. Every day we do look for intraday scalps and setups, especially deviled. Today I provided a little intraday scalp short, and the strategy was simple. It's just getting that reaction from the previous day point of control. Today we did drop down $1,000, which is enough for a scalp. Okay, so we do try and provide those little entries as well inside of the trading community as well, because I know not everybody can hold a trade for weeks and weeks, right? And then we just talk about it. I'm short from here, I'm short from here, taking some profits, let's just wait. People want new entries, they want new possibilities, and the trading community, of course, where we do have a lot of time there. Obviously it's easier to send messages on phone, and Devil is very, very good with the scalping strategies. If you are interested, just send me a DM, word access on the Telegram. You got the DM down below for my Telegram, and we can share the instructions to join the community. You get a few months for free if you sign up with one of the affiliate links, guys. Bluffing would be the suggested one, as they do have great campaigns going on, great fee structure, and Bluffing would be my favorite option, as it's where I have my bigger capital for my swing trades. Other ones are great as well, BTCC, Velto as well, which is decentralized. You can choose which one you want and do a minimum deposit for your own trading. We can jump you inside of the trading community, where we do go every day on possible scenarios and setups, of course. Hey Andy, do you use any automated trading tools for smaller returns? I don't for the moment, but I am open to I'm open for it. I've tried different ones, and I've tried bots as well. I haven't had a great experience with bots. Grid bots, you know, they seem to fail long term. I've tried many different bots. I haven't tried one that is long term sustainable. There are some bots that can get you a couple of months or 3 months of some returns, but once volatility kicks in, you know, they usually fail. They do usually fail, and I've had that experience myself, putting, you know, money in different bots, and you know, they end up failing. It's like, holy crap. So I haven't seen any long-term bots, automated trading tools that are actually sustainable long-term. There might be one right now with AI. I just haven't experienced that myself. Be aware of the price can expand to 72.8 before dumping. I like that. Big deals, whale. I like that idea. Okay, that's where we do have a lot of confluence. We got that daily level. Okay, if this level, if we were to come up here and this does not react, I would be, you know, in favor of the move to the upside to take out 74k. I've only got 2 major reaction levels here. If we trade above them, I will not be in the short position. I will not be in the short, right? Not like a lot of people would be in a short or adding to shorts and, you know, not really having a stop loss, hoping for the reversal. You know, this is a zone where I'm risk free. Yeah, we could pump, you know, I'll be getting stopped out from the rest of the position of that swing short, but I will only short if we do reject, so I can have a stop loss. Okay, it's super simple to follow, guys, and super simple to maintain the risk. But as traders, we do have emotions. We want to, you know, try and catch the highest level or the lowest level, and we take silly decisions, right, as human beings that we are. But we need to be very, very strict with that, guys. This ain't a game. This ain't a kid's game. We need to be responsible with our trading. Test desire to trade bot, Andy. It works, but for Forex. Test desire to trade bot. I'll give it a go. Why not? I'm always open for these automated. We're always open to try different things. Works way better if you make your own agent. Okay, I'm not sure if that is for AI agent. You already have the videos and back data. Interesting. We'll check it out. MPM, smash the like button. Crypto Gardeners, much love to you. Thanks for joining the stream. Okay, let's continue here with the comment section. Way better if you make your own agent. How high do you think BTC can go tops? Well, let's talk about what if we do break out, right? Let's talk about the bullish case, because we already know the bearish case, and the bearish case, you know, is holding by a thread at this moment, right? Whoever's short in this range is actually comfortable holding some of that position. Naturally, this drop was a nice drop, right, of $5,000. You just, you know, I had to take some profits on the drop here into the weekend from that short. But overall, it's nice to hold a good level. But yeah, considering that, you know, that this could be corrective and we end up breaking up here, how high can it go? Do we have other scenarios that takes out the high here and you know, literally rejects later on? And I have to say, absolutely yes. There is a very interesting Elliott wave scenario that you probably haven't seen it, or you haven't analyzed it, but it's literally forming a triangle, okay, in a wave W. Now, that is available when we do old school Elliott wave theory, because new school, right, since Robert Prechter times, they don't mention a triangle in a wave W. Okay, literally a W needs to be either a zigzag or a flat in a sideways WXY. But a triangle in wave W, new school Elliott wave theorist would not support it, but it is actually available. It is possible. Okay, and this is old school Elliott wave theory. You do have an A, B, C, D, E here that can be a triangle, can be a wave W. Then in this case, you would have an A, B, C running flat for your wave X, and then your A, B, C zigzag for your wave Y. It is without a doubt a possibility. Now, you know, anybody that has experience with Elliott wave theory knows old school Elliott wave theory and new school Elliott wave theory. New school Elliott wave theory will say a triangle, wave W cannot be a triangle. It can only be a zigzag or a flat. But, you know, it is actually on the books, on the old school books, where wave W in a sideways WXY can be a triangle. And just to fit in something different here, where you take out the highs and, you know, you literally like, well, this has to be bullish. We need to get continuation to 80K. In this case, you can, you literally can, okay, form a kind of a double top scenario. I mean, regarding confluence, up here, we don't have much. We do have a value area low. We've got lots of lows here with high volume. Yeah, little high volume spikes here and a value area low. This value area low I would consider from this mini range as a resistance point, which is sitting at 75.3K. It is without a doubt a possibility. Now, of course, what I would want to see here for this WXY is it's a little bit tricky to get an impulse with this movement to the upside. It is actually a little bit challenging and tricky. It's not very good. Of course, in an ABC zigzag, you want a 5-wave move in your wave A. You know, there could be a way. I haven't actually gone through the lower time frames here, but maybe you can fit it in. Maybe it can be fitted. We'll have to go on the lower time frames to see if there is a possibility here. But what I would want to see eventually here, if this is going to form an ABC, is this being a wave 1, this being a wave 2, your 3, your 4, and your 5. So this will be relatively easy to detect from this low. We need some kind of a 5-wave move up. So you might take out that high. It looks like it's going to reject, and then you consolidate, and then you back test it as support, and then you get the bounce, only to form a wave 1, wave 2, wave 3, 4, and 5, right? And that's to form your larger WXY. Basically, you got wave W, your wave X in a flat, and then a zigzag up. You need kind of a 5-wave move up here. So there's no big strong levels. They're actually quite far away when we consider this scenario. Point of control, they're all at 78K region. I'm not sure if we would manage to reach there, but the value area low of this mini range could be considered at 75.9K, basically almost 76K as a value area low, which could be the level where it actually gets resistance and rolls over. So this would require a little bit of patience, of course. If you break out from this recent high, you would want to see a shallow correction here and then take out the highs again. This is your moment of interest for the short. Once you get a solid wave 4 in, right? Shallow, rangy, choppy, confusing correction. But then this one is the one that rolls over here. This would be 75k region, 76 for the potential of this WXY, which W wave is a triangle. That's old school Elliott wave theory. New school Elliott wave theory is wave W is either a zigzag or a flat, not a triangle. So anyway, just something to brainstorm here, that even if you take out these local highs, there is very much that possibility of rejecting from here still, and this still is bearish and corrective. As the scenarios that I've explained, you need to find the impulsive move finishing from this pivot low, which for the moment we have a possible wave 1 and a wave 2. So you need that wave 3 and the 4 and 5 to then say, right, finishing the impulse, we've got high volume here, we got our wave 4, wave 5. The wave 5 is the one that we want to short as a double top from the third wave, basically, right? So yeah, that's going to require a few more days if it ends up being bullish. Still would be interested in shorts, of course. Just have to analyze the price action and the information that we do get up there to consider that short. Of course, the trading community will be updated, of course, with priority if I'm not on YouTube, naturally. You cannot create a triangle in wave 2. That is true. That is very true, even with old school Elliott wave. Wave 2 cannot be a triangle. But this is not a wave 2, this is a wave W. I'm not sure if somebody asked in the comment section. This is a wave W, okay? Wave W can be a triangle in old school Elliott wave terms. New school, I know a lot of people are going to say no, right? From Robert Prechter, Elliott wave analysis, right? 70s, 80s forward, they are just going to mention that wave W on a WXY has to, it needs to be a zigzag or a flat. But this is not wave 2. This would be a wave W, okay? Which there is that discussion about it, but wave 2 cannot be a triangle. That is true. Hi Andy, I joined late the stream. Can you quickly recap short-term situation? Absolutely majestic. We literally didn't go through much Elliott wave theory. I mean, and time has flown by. Where will you be looking to add to the short position? Yeah, this is the thing as well. Anyway, recap is levels of confluence, okay? Double top locally here. I would say it's valid if you break it. I'm looking at the point of control and the daily. It's either reaction here in simple terms or reaction here. And to the downside for longs, reaction sweeping up the lows of Wednesday. Reaction here with the point of control of the range, okay, so from the last 5 weeks. That's on Coinbase, that is. Or the weekly naked point of control at 68.3k, which is sweeping up these higher lows as well. So it's either short on the reaction, short on the reaction, or long on the reaction, long on the reaction. You can see where I put the line here. You'd need the price to reclaim it for me to look for the long or look for the short. Okay, so that's basically what we've recapped here without considering Elliott wave theory. We left Elliott wave theory here locally, out of the equation, just because there's still many scenarios, and there's no need. We'll just talk about the levels. Anyway, somebody was asking about where you're looking to add to this short. Well, that's the thing. I wish I could at this point. I'm having my doubts on this being bullish and actually moving up. To be clear, to when I would add, because it's been almost a week right now where I said I will be looking to add to this short, right? Well, on the bounce. However, this bounce can be impulsive and this movement can be corrective. So I cannot add to this short position as of yet. So your question is, when would I add? Well, naturally, it will be on a sign of weakness. And when do I know there is a sign of weakness? The levels where, the double top or the point of control reaction are for a new intraday setup. I cannot add to this. Well, I'll probably get stopped out at break even from that one. If we do take out that high, I will look to re-enter on the reaction on the daily or naked point of control. But if the price rolls over and we see some bearishness, sign of weakness, I am targeting 60k from that short here, which could still take a couple of weeks to develop. If this ends up being a wave 1 and this is a wave 2 and this ends up being multiple 1-2s, or a wave 1 and a sideways WXY, which is still possible, I need to see the breakdown in an impulse and the corrective structure to the upside, not after an impulse, a possible impulse and a correction. We need to see this inverted, basically. Impulse down, corrective up. That's when I will add to the short, because then double 1-2 here, then 3, 4, 5, right? Finally claiming, 60k. The main reason I didn't add to this short position, which was still a general plan that I have, is that I wanted to see a clear correction here, which you have a 3 wave that fails to move higher, overlap, right? And an impulse down, correction, and then say, right, this is looking very good for me to add to this existing short, because it's clearly corrective move up. The problem is right now, it is not a clear corrective move up. It can be a WXY, double zigzag. It can fit an impulse and form a flat in the middle, at the beginning stages of this correction. So you can see how the move up looks a little bit intimidating. And now we're getting this. This has the potential of being corrective. So if I add to this short right now and entries here, right, or entries somewhere here, I'm losing space, right, based on it's such a good entry. So I would have to enter later on a confirmation of a 5 wave, right, impulse, multiple 1-2s, which could be on the formation, or a 1 in a complex 2 in a sideways corrective move. It's not clear. This structure is really not clear, and there's bullish and bearish scenarios. So what needs to be clear is an impulse down and a corrective overlapping structure here, where I can say, right, I'm adding to my short now, and obviously I'll be adding to the short on the last lower high. I won't add to the short to entry, right? Short, adding to the lower highs to then look for that breakdown in the wave 3 that comes to tackle 60k, which ultimately is the take profit zone of the short. So just with a bit of drawing, that's simply how I need to add to short. You will understand right now, basically, if we were to pop out to 72, 73k plus, why I didn't get into the short, right? Is because this can be an impulse and this can be a correction, meaning that this could actually break out. So the new information was not great. When we got this dump down, great, impulse down, perfect. Let's get a corrective bounce to the value area high. But I have my doubts for this being corrective. It's a pretty punchy move up, and the movements down are not very powerful, we could say. So the new information of the last few days hasn't been great for being confident in adding into the short position, right? So need an impulse down. We need a sign of weakness. There will be time to add to that short. Top education here. Salty ads. Thank you very much, my man. Much love to you. Thanks very much for the kind words. Right. How do you calculate how much to add to the short so you don't bring your entry price to the low? It depends on your position size. It really depends on your position size. So if you say that you have a short position here that you've entered with, you know, adding the leverage, you know, say that you use 20x leverage, you use $5,000, so it's a $100,000 trade, right? Naturally, you cannot add, you know, $200,000 to that trade, right? It needs to be significantly less. As you market enter, okay, that existing short, you know, if you have a $100,000 position, you know, if you add $10,000, your position is just going to move down slightly. So you literally need to add, right, on market order slightly, all right, less position basically. You will see your entry go down slightly to the last lower high, okay? Don't use like 20% of your capital, because then, you know, your position from here, if you're in short here basically, and say that the price moves down in an impulse and corrects to the upside, right? And it looks like very weak, and you want to add your position that you have from 73K zone to this lower high. But if you add, you know, significantly more than what you know, basically added, you know, got into this trade, your position is going to go down to the entry basically, right? If you add 300% more from what you risked, right? But if you add 10% of that existing trade, right? So say it's a 100K position, if I add $10,000, right, in volume size basically with leverage, it's going to go down a little bit. So I add another 10,000, going to go down a little bit. So then you calculate how you move down here to the last lower high basically. Let's get Andy up to 300 likes, ladies and gents. Come on, it only takes a second. Cody, much love. Thanks for the support. But anyway, I hope that brief explanation, Diesel, you know, how do you calculate how much to add? You just play around. You just go slowly and you add small percentage to the position. I've had that mistake before, where I want to add to the position and I accidentally add too much to it, and the price literally goes almost to where the price action is, and I'm like, oh damn, I wanted to add 0.1 BTC instead of, you know, one entire BTC, right? Which we are pumping slightly. We are literally stuck in this range, but yeah, a little bit of the levels and trading plans have been explained. Thank you very much, Diesel. Thank you very much, Paz Maria Vallejos. Much love to you. It's been a pleasure, guys, to do the live stream today, Thursday, and you've been absolutely great, smashing up the like button. I've been trying to answer some questions here and going a little bit through the comment section. I've kept it simple. We've broken down a few Elliot wave scenarios inside of the trading community. We'll likely break down a few of them as the price develops. If you are interested in that, guys, you can get a few months for free inside of the trading community. Just send me the DM access. Sign up to one of the affiliate links, of course, to bring some support, and do a minimum deposit for your own trading to see the magic. Today we talked about an intraday little scalp. Not much that we can do here. We need to scalp this little range. And thank you very much for joining, guys, today. Been a pleasure. Stay safe, trade safe. If you want any more questions, you can always join the community, and we are, you know, myself and Devil are there. You just need to tag us. Thank you, guys. Stay safe, trade safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.